lesson into the African origins of the Hebrew scriptures. If y'all ain't been on YouTube, of course, it's a little Peckerwood on there. He got to, I don't know how old he is, but you know he's a young motherfucker, and he came out on Ashraf Kwesi, and he put out some little fucking weak ass Zygots type of documentary. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be refuting Ashraf Kwesi on his teachings and shit. Of course, you know, we know what it is, but it seemed to be that the Peckerwood, the Uncle Tom nigga, they up in their missionary work. A lot of motherfuckers is pushing a lot of religious agendas out here. The Nation of Islam is one of them. The church is another. You know what I'm saying? So, for the white boy to come out, either he was sent or the church taking a very serious hit. Okay? No need for the motherfucker to show up for no reason. Either he was sent or the church is taking a hit. But I'm starting to scan in a lot of the valuable resources that we need to call up when we make our very serious argument for the African origins, and not just the Hebrew scriptures, but all of Africa, Egypt, Nubia, Ethiopia, that all of that is indigenous African land. Now this cracker right here, this is Herodotus. And Herodotus lived right around the 5th century BCE. And 484 BC to 425 BC. He was born in the region of what you call Turkey today. And he's the first European to put together what we call a history book. They ain't got none before him. Y'all need to know that. He was the first white historian known to collect his materials systematically, test their accuracy to a certain extent, and arrange them in a well-constructed and vivid narrative. Now, right there, what you need to know about that's the first white man. Okay? So if you catch a white man discussing history before this motherfucker, ask him what white man did the research. You understand? You can't let a people extend their influence further than when they can document they've been on this planet. So the white man could try to explain Egypt, but then if he got enough knowledge to explain Egypt, why they ain't got no damn history before this cracker right here? Why they ain't got no books? You see what I'm saying? So that's very significant that you know this cracker right here, Herodotus. He went into Egypt, and if you get his book, it's the second book of his histories. It's called Herodotus, Histories. And the second book is called Euripides. And that's where he basically discusses Egypt as he's seen Egypt around 450 BC. Now, I scanned some of the valuable information up out of the book. I'm going to continue to do it as much as possible so that I can get a lot of the main points that Herodotus brings up when he goes into Egypt. Now, this is what he says. The Egyptians, they went on to affirm, first brought into use the names of the 12 gods, which the Greeks adopted from them, and first erected altars, images, and temples to God, and also first engraved upon stone the figure of animals. Okay then, so right then and there, 450 BCE, it was called deep down in the mind of all Europeans, Greeks, that they had received their religion from the Africans, primarily the Egyptians and the Ethiopians, and that they were the first to bring into altars, images, and temples to the gods. Before then, there's nobody that could document that they got a system that we know of today called religion that involve all of these attributes of a religion. Altar, images, and temples to the god. Now listen what he says. I highlighted that. In most of the cases, they proved to me that what they said was true. So the white boy went there in 450 BC, and he documents exactly what the Egyptians, the Africans told him, and they put the shit on the table and worked it out right in front of his face. They proved to him that the things that they was telling him was true. And they told me that the first man who ruled over Egypt was Men, and that in his time all Egypt, except the Thebaid canton, was set. Thebes is Waset. So yeah, it's kind of dark in here. I can't go to that map right there. I should. Next time I have the map up there. But we understand. If you could go home, Google it up. You could glue. It's Luxor to the Arab, Thebes to the Greek, Waset in the middle now. And that in his time, all Egypt, except the Thebaid canton, was a marsh. None of the land below Lake Moeris there showing itself above the surface of the water. This is a distance of 7 days' sail from the sea up the river. So what he's saying is that in the beginning of Kemet, all of that shit down there was basically a marsh. That it was water. It was, and when Mena, Aha, went down there, he dammed the river. And what the water receded, and upon the virgin land is where he built Memphis. So what we talking about, Egypt, man, is basically a child on the Nile River. That when it flood, the bringing of the silk down, and silk is fertilizer, is mud. And the mud, every year when it flood, the mud would come down with the river. And it would gather at the mouth of the river, which is the end of the river. And for over the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years of the flood bringing the silt down, it stacked up and made what you call virgin land. It made virgin land. If you're flying over that region, when you're flying out, you can look down. I mean, it don't look like nothing you want to be walking on. Like, you know, your ass, you might fall through. It looked like it, you know, it's very, you know, what you call boggy, swampish like. Okay? What they say of their country seems to me very reasonable for anyone who sees Egypt without having heard a word about it before must perceive, if he only has common powers of observation, that the Egypt to which the Greeks go in their ships is an acquired country, the gift of the river, the floods, the bringing of the silt, the bringing of the mud. It is the gift of the river. The same is true of the land above the lake, to the distance of 3 days' voyage, concerning which the Egyptians say nothing, but which is exactly the same kind of country. So basically, Waset is basically where it jumped off. That they really had just come down into Egypt and really started to cultivate the land very recently. If we're not in African years, we're saying very recently. That it was popping off in Nubia, right around Waset, and that's why basically every time Egypt failed, if you look it up, it was always the push from the south that came and established Ma'at again. When it was Narmer first coming down to establish Kemet. And then after Narmer came Mentuhotep II. Then after Mentuhotep came Ahmose. After Ahmose came Pianki, the Ethiopian dynasty, or the 25th dynasty. So it always came from the south. So here it is, the white boy in 450 BC tells us exactly what he saw, and he says that if you just have powers of observation, you can look at the damn land, just like I'm saying, just like you could come up in the swamps of Louisiana. You can look at that shit and it's boggy. It don't look like nothing that's too firm, that you wouldn't, you wouldn't really try to venture out on it, because this shit might give. And first, it just don't feel stable, so nobody would really just try to walk out there on that shit. Concerning Egypt itself,